Greetings, Rob.
Well, hello, sir. I should say hello, impresario of the Que Pasa PGS show.
Hey, we're making it happen.
Dude, I love that show, even though I can't understand it.
I just realized that I had set the time for this stream for 11 p.m. and I've seen some people being confused about that. So apologies for that. It's usually 11 a.m. I just set it up incorrectly on the stream, but we're live no matter what. So welcome everybody.
Some people are here.
Some people are here. Now, we got a good group joining us today. So yeah, so no worries. It's just a minor mistake, minor inconvenience. But thank you everybody for joining us today. And as always, we're gonna do this. If you are a member, remember you receive a link from Rob in the members only section of the YouTube channel, and you can access the Zoom chat there. Join us so that you can have a little bit of a time to chat with the Viceroy of Verisimilitude himself.
I am here for that, you know.
And then we're going to do things a little bit differently today. So because of a personal issue that I have to attend to, I can't stick around for the whole time. So it gave us an opportunity to try something new. And that's going to be this. The live stream to YouTube is going to go till about 12:30 or so Pacific time. So about an hour and a half of live stream on YouTube. At that point, we're going to cut off the live stream to YouTube, but the chat will continue. So Rob will, that way I'll be able to take off for my event. Rob will take command of the starship here, like Riker did in recently in Picard, and then he will be able to continue the chat. So if you are participating in the chat in the Zoom room, do not worry about that. You'll continue along. It's just for our friends on YouTube, we'll be cutting the stream early. And if you'd like to join the stream or join the conversation, remember that you can become a member to have access to the Zoom room. And that way we'll try this out, because we have gotten some comments, Rob, from people saying that, you know, watching a YouTube show for 5 hours can be a little bit too long. So maybe this way we give people a taste of the conversation, and then we continue on off the air.
It sounds good to me.
Sounds like a good plan. All right. So hopefully that will work out for everyone. And we will go ahead and I mean, Rob, I feel like I took over and I didn't even give you a chance to say hello before letting our friends in.
No, it's your hosting skills are now legendary, especially in the Spanish speaking world. So I feel great about that.
Awesome.
And I love your background.
Hey, man.
Although it's a changeling run ship, man. Come on.
So cool. And who knew that that a Federation ship could ever look so menacing, right?
And Terry Metalis talked about that, rising up over the old Titan.
He described it to a dragon who's been hit and is like coming back now after licking his wounds a little bit. So
man, do I love this show.
That was so good. All right, Rob, are we ready to let our cascade of friends join us in here?
Let everyone in. If you're members of this channel, we're going to open that door.
Boom.
Or is a red door with...
is it a red door with vines?
Yeah, red door with vines. Gosh only knows, man.
Here's everybody. And as you know, when you come into the Zoom room, you raise your hand using the reactions tool at the bottom of the screen. And that will add you to the queue. And that way we'll be able to call you up to have your time with Rob. All right. And let me just go ahead now. Since we've welcomed everybody here, I'm going to change the view to speaker view. And let me go ahead and make sure that I pin you to the screen here, Rob. I just have to find you. There you are.
In a world where everyone is looking for me.
There we go. Here we are. All right, Rob. So anything?
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Fantasy Island. Smiles, everyone.
Smiles, everyone.
You know, I mean, hey, what can I say?
Man,
I got Psycho Cop 2 coming. Come on. It's all good.
Yeah, I know.
Anthony's here. That was for him.
I was
like, I got to get me some Psycho Cop 2 for Vinegar Syndrome. Woohoo! Although it's not here yet. But it's coming.
Now, was it? I thought it was in back order.
Maybe that's why I don't have it.
Okay. All right, Rob. Are you ready to jump in with our first commentator here? We got David Gonzalez coming up.
David Gonzalez.
All right.
How are you?
Go ahead and ask you to unmute, and I'll pin you down, David.
How you doing?
Welcome.
What's up, man?
How you been?
I've been good. You know, it's boy, we live in a crazy world. I guess we've always lived in a crazy world. I mean, I'm sure people in the 40s thought they lived in a crazy world too, and it was a lot crazier then. So, you know,
that's the truth. I have a question for Weekly Hero is not featured on Campia Show anymore, right?
Apparently, we're too expensive.
Is it possible that there could be a revival on the Burnettwork?
Yes. 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 It can't be called the Weekly Hero, but there is definitely.
But is there a way to bring Chris in and?
Yes, I mean, and you know, there are talks. I mean, that was one of the things I was going to throw out to members because, you know, I've talked about rebranding the channel because there's other people like is doing her shows. We have Que Pasa PGS. Israel is doing his show. But other people have said, and what I wanted to do is rebrand the channel Imagination Connoisseurs Unlimited, just because that's the name of our company. And I think that would be cool. But there are other people that have said, keep it as the Burnettwork because the idea of it being a network and then feature the shows. We also have a show that is being produced by Martika Ibarra, who produces Designing Hollywood. It's a new show that I don't do called Architects of the Imagination that will debut April 15th. That is a video game show that does not have me as a host, but it's going to be on our channel. And it's going to delve into the creation of video games. And the first episode is with one of the creators of The Last of Us. So we're going to be, yeah. So I'm stepping up the channel. We're also, my friend Darren Scott, I guess I can announce it. Darren Scott, who produced movies like Menace to Society, and he directed with Rusty Cundiff, he directed the Tales from the Hood movies. He's one of my oldest, dearest friends. He's going to be doing a new show called Confessions of a Black Film Fanatic. And he's going to delve into film noir movies from the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, because he's always, it's funny because I asked him, he's always going on YouTube and posting, on Facebook posting, like when he watches these, you know, he loves film noir. And I was like, why don't you do a show called Black Noir? He's like, what do you mean, black? I go, I don't know. I mean, and because he's always talking about the rise of Black nerd culture. And I'm like, you know, because he was in this 80s, he'd go to conventions. He's like, I was the only Black dude there. And I'm like, well, why don't you do a show about it? And I'm really excited for this new show because, first of all, Darren's an incredible writer. He's very funny. And he used to teach a directing course here in LA. And I work with him. I edited a movie that he directed, actually, a lifetime movie called I Know Where Lizzie Is. And you know, he's one of my favorite people in the world. I'm like, dude, let's monetize your shit. Come on, come over to YouTube. And so we're doing that. So there's a lot of shows, and we got Israel. I love the Otaku Experience. I think it's a great show. Israel's right there. And I keep getting people like Martino Simoni over in on the Swiss-Italian border. If the Swiss-Italian border is telling people how great Israel King show is, then it must be true. I listened to what Martino says. So he's doing, I think, Israel, you're killing it. We got to up the views on all these shows. And by doing that, you know, I need to be able to promote. But the real question is, do we change the name of the channel or keep it the same? And I don't know. And
I think you should keep it the same.
That's what people are saying. And I, you know, because my thought was that it's not about me anymore. But then again, a TV channel like NBC didn't change the name to, you know, Will and Grace when Will and Grace became successful.
Right.
So maybe you're right. I mean, because I've got some great great designs, great for the logo, but Imagination Connoisseurs Unlimited is the name of our company. So that company exists, and I want to produce movies and things underneath that brand. But by the way, Roberto, don't cut into David's time because I've been blathering on. so start the clock again for Dad. So how are you, David?
Sounds good. Sounds good.
I'm doing all right. I'm doing all right. I'm a little tired because I had to work today, but I'm happy that I could be here and get some time with you. But yeah, really quick, if you could find a way to revive Weekly Hero, and then see if you can maybe for a little bit of time steal Taylor, that would be great because your Hot Toys conversations are great.
Oh, yeah, you will definitely be seeing that. I mean, you know, it was a little obviously I was taken aback a little bit, you know, by John's comments on the channel that we're too expensive. I mean, we're not paid hourly, you know, we have a flat rate that he pays us, and I think that the Weekly Hero was steadily building up an audience, and but I understand it's, you know, it's as he said on his stream, he said it is the John Campea show, it is his channel, and I mean, for me, I'm all about, hey, everybody, come on in, let's have a party.
True.
I like to be a host.
Created this space where people can, it's a positive space, but it doesn't have to be, it's unique because it's a positive, but it doesn't have to be agreeing space, because you can disagree, but respectfully. And I like that.
Oh yeah, no, that's the whole point is it's like, you know, the best parties are the parties that have the most interesting people that show up. You know, you gotta, I'm just the doorman. I'm like, hey man, come on in, let's have fun. You know, and that's what that's what I've always wanted this channel to be. So the more voices, the more people but that is the overarching idea behind this channel, is it is inherently a positive place where we're here to celebrate what we love. You know, I mean, and in this day and age, I think we need that more now than perhaps ever.
With that, for it being positive, I know on the camping show that you guys were talking about the legacy of Kathleen Kennedy.
Yes.
So I do appreciate her legacy, and I respect what she has done, but it made me wonder, with certain properties, does it almost require that somebody is more of a fan of something that shapes the zeitgeist of our culture? Like, for example, what we have with Marvel, it's led by someone who has very good business acumen, but also someone who is a fan. And Kathleen Kennedy, while she enjoys Star Wars, by her own admission, she's not a huge Star Wars fan. And I wonder if that's kind of how the IP has been allowed to linger somewhat.
Oh, well, look,
I mean, we got Andor, we got Mandalorian, but I feel like that was her being a smart producer and having good creators make good content. But because she's not a fan, she didn't push in other areas.
I mean, I think that here's the thing. It is very rare in any business that you have someone who's extremely well educated, who has incredible business acumen, and who also is a fan. Because, like, to be a fan is to, I'm talking a fan that knows, like, has read all of the Dark Horse Star Wars comics, has read Lando Calrissian and the Mind Harp of Sharu, you know, who has read all that stuff. I think it's important because in this day and age, all the people that like these IPs have read those things. And I know that one of the great frustrations for me, especially with Star Trek, is when I was listening to J.J. Abrams talk about how he wasn't a Star Trek fan when he was on the press tour for Star Trek 09. And I'm like, clearly, because the movie you made is terrible and I fucking hate it. And it's not, I know people love it. And I don't mean when I say that, look, the only thing I go negative on is Star Trek. And the thing is, that movie did not earn out. I mean, if you were to open up the books, that movie lost money for the studio. It was a $200 million plus movie. If you add in marketing, 250, 300 million, it didn't make 500 million. It didn't make $500 million. And it's because a Star Trek movie should not cost that much money. There's no reason, because Star Trek is a niche franchise. It's always been a niche franchise. It should be treated as a niche franchise. And what you need is somebody with a deft hand who could come in there and say, okay, I'm going to make a killer Star Trek movie for $100 million. And somebody that really knows but the thing is, the studios, there's 20 people at any one time, and probably less, that major studios want to work with to direct their movies. That's how big the list is, 20. If that, there's probably 10. And the studios want, because those are the only people they trust with $100 million, $200 million. And I get that.
No, I'm sorry.
No, but I'm saying with Star Trek, if you had somebody, the problem is there's really nobody and I'm not saying I'm that person. I've certainly never directed a $100 million movie. I've directed one movie in my life 25 years ago. Shout out to Free Enterprise and the Ides of March, William Shatner's great rap song, No Tears for Caesar. But it's there just isn't. I think that's the big problem with Hollywood now, is there's so many people that you wonder, why aren't these movies, why are things not making money? And I think a lot of it is because people lose sight of their core, the core values of the brand itself, of the IP. And Kathleen Kennedy, she was never a big Star Wars fan. I mean, and it's so funny because you have a guy like J.J. Abrams. I mean, I look at J.J. Abrams, who co-wrote The Force Awakens with Lawrence Kasdan, and I don't know who did what. How do you make a movie and not put your core group of people together?
Yeah.
Like, how do you not put Luke, Leia, Han, R2, 3PO, Chewie, Lando?
And they burned that opportunity. We'll never, that was our one chance. I know that we can revisit the IP again, but we'll never have those actors in that place ever again.
No, and you ask yourself, if you're going to revive Star Wars and you're going to bring back these legacy characters, how do you not put them in a scene together? And to me, that's the most damning thing of all, in terms of J.J. Abrams as a director and as Kathleen Kennedy as a steward of an IP. How do you go from the end of Return of the Jedi to a complete reset of the universe in Force Awakens? And the thing that really bothers me is that we've had plenty of, you go back to, was it 91 when the Thrawn trilogy was released, Heir to the Empire, and the Dark Horse revival with Dark Empire. So you had Heir to the Empire, the novel, come out, and then the Dark Horse comic, Dark Empire, came out. How do you not go back and look at those two things as a jumping off point, even just to spur ideas? I'm sure they never did.
For studios, is it worth trying to surprise fans, to throw away good ideas and then try to come up with something new that just doesn't work?
Because here's the thing. The problem is none of these filmmakers thought longer and harder about the franchise than the people that, like Timothy Zahn, writing that Heir to the Empire series. Or Cam Kennedy, I forget who wrote Dark Empire, but Cam Kennedy did the art, and I forget the other artist. But the same is true of Star Trek novels. As a long time, one of the really frustrating things, I mean, you go back to the DC run of both the original series comics and the Next Generation comics. You had people that wrote for the show come in and write for those comics. You had Peter David write for those comics. Diane Duane write for those comics. And it's incredibly frustrating as a fan who has already read these stories. Like, if I controlled a franchise like Star Wars or Star Trek, I'd say, look, I'm bringing in a group of people, and your job is to read everything, every comic, every novel. I mean, I would point them in the direction, because you don't have to read everyone, but I would say, look, why didn't they adapt the Alien versus Dark Horse put out? That was the first Alien. It's fucking great. And now I understand we got an Alien versus Predator movie, set on Earth in a pyramid in the Arctic, Antarctica. What? It's like, what? Like, there's a Predator. It's just like, what? And it's incredibly frustrating to live in a world where there's all of these great stories. I mean, everyone's always talking about, why isn't there a Knights of the Old Republic show? I don't know. Why isn't there? I mean, I would have thought if I controlled the IP, I'd be like, well, that's where I'm going to go. Knights of the Old Republic. It's totally open. You've got the game, you've got comics, you've got all kinds of lore already that you can draw from. Let's get somebody who's really interested. Get Weiss and Benioff to adapt that. They were best when they had the books of Game of Thrones to adapt. Give them that. And nobody does. And it's frustrating because the people in Hollywood don't even know those things exist. And if they do know they exist, they're like, I got to get paid. I'm not going to go adapt someone's comic. So in the case of like Star Trek Strange New Worlds, they just fucking rip it off. let's steal Dorothy Fontana's novel Vulcan's Glory, or let's go rip off Ursula K. Le Guin's Those Who Walk Away from Umlaus. And then we'll talk about it, like, this episode was inspired by Ursula K. No, you stole it from Ursula K. Le Guin, and you didn't give her credit. Somebody should call these people on it. I do, and that's why I'm sure Terry Metalis, he's not watching this right now, but if he was, he'd be like, oh my God, you're never going to. People always think that, I'm such an advocate of Star Trek Picard season 3 because I'm angling for a job. Never going to hire me. I've never worked in TV like that. I just like something. If I don't like something, I say it. And it's frustrating because Hollywood is missing an opportunity to make a lot of money because the people that they're hiring to run these franchises don't know the franchises as well as they should. And I still maintain that Kevin Feige is the man, even though maybe Quantum Mania didn't make a lot of money. But the Infinity Saga, 23 movies with an average box office gross of $1 billion, that's crazy. And that's because Kevin Feige produced 14 Marvel movies before the MCU, and he worked for Richard Donner, and he knows his shit. Anyway, there's my soliloquy for the day. So, Roberto, we cannot hear you. But man, do I love to see the Intrepid behind you. I'm scared. Yeah, I can, but I keep thinking it's going to fire its photon torpedoes at me. I got to turn and run. So good. So good. Uh-oh. I gotta say, Israel, I appreciate your work ethic. I wanted one thing from you, and you have not let me down.
I appreciate that. Can you hear me?
Yeah, your show's great, dude.
Thank you. I'm trying to make it better. I think it can be better. I feel like we're on the cusp of greatness.
That's okay. It's still a great show, and if you want to make it better, I'm all for it. Whatever you want to do, I think it's great. The only problem is you got to delve into some old school anime, dude. I want to hear. You got to watch some super robot shows from the 70s. I know you're not going to do that.
Yeah, probably not in the next few weeks because the winter season's about to end, and so this weekend, probably like after this stream, I'm gonna start binging all the shows that are about to finish. And I got like 15 shows to watch.
It's okay. Nobody cares. Nobody cares about me wanting to see 70s robot shows. So you keep doing what you do. Your show's awesome. Don't let me tell you anything else.
All right. But I did want to talk about Star Wars, The Mandalorian, because y'all were talking about it yesterday.
Yeah.
And it kind of like I was kind of surprised how y'all were feeling about it because I'm loving it. And I thought it was interesting to hear y'all's thoughts on the Dr. Pershing story and Bo-Katan kind of joining the cult, basically,
or at least being yeah. I mean, she's at least been absolved because she purified herself in the waters of Lake Minnetonka.
Yeah, but the thing I think across the board with all of you is y'all were all in consensus that you guys didn't really know where this season was going at this point.
Well, I mean, I think it's just, here's the thing. I think we kind of know where it's going, but I'm just curious from a story. Look, as somebody who went to film school and who I read over 3,000 scripts professionally as a script reader. I find the storytelling in this season of The Mandalorian perplexing. I find the actual script writing, because I thought the opening scene was a banger. The whole chase, the battle. Mm-hmm. I thought it was great. And then, you go from that to this scene on Coruscant. Like, it was like that. Why wasn't that an episode? And I felt like they took, I wouldn't be surprised if they like decide to do that. And they took this episode, they had one episode, and they're like, you know what? We've got this other episode that's not really Mandalorian focused, and we can make it into one longer episode. and put these two things on either side of it. It was very strange because it's like all of a sudden, we're following, when you're telling a tale of the Mandalorian, they started out this season, the first episode, The Apostate, which I loved. I'm like, okay, so here's a guy, and he really isn't an apostate. They've deemed him an apostate. He's a believer. He wants to come back and be part of the fold or whatever. And I thought that was really, really interesting. But then it's like John pointed out, they make a big deal of, well, you have to have IG-11 to go. And then it's like, here's R5-D4. And I just feel like, look, we're getting great writing in our genre TV shows, whether it's House of the Dragon, whether it's Last of Us, take your pick. I mean, The Expanse, we've had great writing in. And I feel that The Mandalorian, whenever I watch the show, I feel like I'm watching a first draft. And I'm like, why are you going from place, like, you went to talk to Bo-Katan. She sat in her throne. You guys didn't even walk out on a deck or something and watch the sunset over where she lives. You literally walk down a long corridor to see her, and she's draped over her throne. And then you go to Tatooine to go pick up R5-D4 or to find, can you fix IG-11? No. Well, here's R5-D4. Okay, I'll take that guy. And then you go, because her planet is in the Mandalorian system. And then you go back to Mandalore, and then we see 3 different times you walk through that cave entrance in that episode. And I'm like, man, and then you're going to send this, Grogu, please, I'm captured now. Why does the Mandalorian, he's not very good at what he does, and it's just like, why does this weird creature that lived in a bombed out thing that has this amazing droid here, get the drop on you?
And I mean, I guess I understand all that. And I those are fair criticisms. I remember the stream where you were just talking about how they walk everywhere, and we saw that one cave entrance so many times in the same episode. But,
yeah, I mean, I know, but look, here's the thing. I want to love The Mandalorian. I watch every episode, and then while I thought that everything with the Doctor was fascinating, and the cloning program, is it Palpatine? Are they trying to clone?
I haven't gone back to check, but some of the discourse I've seen is that they were actually playing Snoke's theme a lot in the episode.
Yeah, then I mean, they're doing, which makes sense, because we saw in Rise of Skywalker the Snoke clones and all that. But I'm like, but the show's called The Mandalorian, and if you're gonna, it's very herky jerky that in the third episode of your season, that's what, 8 episodes long. That you just take a diversion, introduce a character that we briefly met before, and you're giving him an entire narrative. And I like, why not intercut all of that like they do in Andor? You have these multiple stories, and I feel like, why did they interrupt the Book of Boba Fett with 2 episodes of The Mandalorian? Like, if you're a Mandalorian fan and you watch the first episode of the season, Grogu's back. They even had to show you in the recap episodes or clips from a show that's not The Mandalorian. So you're all up to speed. It's so weird to me, and I don't get it.
I mean, I heard in an interview with Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni that and I think Dave Filoni is the one that said this, but they were talking about how they have basically like this room of like whiteboards going from the Phantom Menace all the way up until the Rise of Skywalker, and they just kind of have story beats that take place within there. And so I think I honestly, and it could be a fundamental flaw to do it this way, I don't even think they're really viewing Mandalorian, Book of Boba Fett, Ahsoka, when they were going to do Rangers of the New Republic. I don't think they were viewing those as different shows. I think that this is all one timeline to them, and regardless of whether it takes place in a specific series. I
agree, but I think that the execution is really slipshod and amateurish, and I don't understand it. No, I honestly don't get it, because even I, as a film editor, I look at this stuff and I'm like, why aren't you intercutting this? That's how you deal with multiple storylines. And the thing is, when you're introducing this character, all of a sudden this character like comes out of nowhere. We'd met him before, and then we spend 40 minutes with him.
Yeah, I'm
in
glad
your-
they did the recap because I would not have remembered who he
No,
was.
that was the thing, and it's like, first of all, this is not good writing. If you were in a writing class at a film school, if you're taking a screenwriting course,
Mhm.
and you turned in this episode, you would get an F. You know, because for that very reason, because your screenwriting teacher would be like, okay, what does this have to do with the Mandalorian? And of course, we'll find out, I'm sure, later that they're building up to something. But the problem is, they're trying to tell this overarching because Dave Filoni, you know, with all of this is the Clone Wars animated series and Rebels and Ahsoka and all this, but they're doing a terrible job and the reason the ratings are tanking is because what are these shows anymore? I mean, what's really interesting to me, we talked about Kathleen Kennedy. I mean, you might like, and I do like Star Wars. And the first season, the Mandalorian, what no one's actually speaking out loud is the Mandalorian has only ever been okay. It's never been great. It's only okay. And no one okay is being kind. It is a show that seems to be, I'm sorry to say this, but it seems like Jon Favreau writes these scripts at lunch. You know, I don't see that there's been any real thought put into these stories. And I'll say it. I mean, it's not popular, but the reason people aren't watching it is because no one gives a fuck. They don't care because there's no story to care about. You know, you don't anticipate like what's going to happen next. We don't know because they don't know. I mean, suddenly, oh, the mythosaur is alive in the waters of Lake Minnetonka. It's like, what does that mean? I mean, okay, I understand that's the Mandalorian signet, but are you telling me that even Bo-Katan's like, well, the mythosaur was a myth, but oh no, wait, I just saw it. Why am I walking into water with my full suit of armor on? Well, is Beskar not heavy? Why would anybody do that? If you're going to purify yourself, it is inane and idiotic that you would walk into any water. What religion in the world does not want you to cleanse yourself? No religion in the world is going to be like, hey, we're going to leave your armor on, buddy. No one is going to do that. When you watch stuff like this, I'm like, this is dumb. I mean, it's ridiculous. How do you go into water wearing armor? I mean, how does any human being, I've never put armor on and gone into the ocean or anything like that, but I would assume that it would be difficult to swim. It's just stupid. And when I watch this, I'm like, why am I watching this stupid shit? I mean, let's be honest. I don't mean to be a douchebag, but it's dumb. It's stupid that I'm watching somebody walk into armor, and it was so comical when he sinks. I'm like, that's hilarious. Of course that's gonna happen. He's wearing Beskar armor. It's heavy. Well, you can't swim in armor unless the gravity's different. Anyway, sorry. I don't want to be a wet blanket. Dude. And the thing is, the insinuation is that the mythosaur like grabbed him, but yet, I mean, babe. Well, but then she has to like go a mile to find him, and I'm watching this, and I'm like, here's what I don't understand. I mean, as somebody who sat in an edit bay, even though no one's seen the movies I've edited, but even including Tango Shalom, which is available on Peacock and Amazon, but you know, if I was sitting in an edit bay, the first thing I'd be like is like, what is going on in this scene? Like, as an editor, please explain to me, where did Din Djarin go when he sank? Why is he way over here? And if he was captured, so it's not like the Dianoga in the trash compactor in Star Wars when we see there's something alive in here, you know, and we see that people get pulled down. What happened in that scene? I would be like, okay, where did Din Djarin go? You know, obviously these waters were built next to the city was built out into these waters. And is there like, as somebody who's gone, even the ocean has a shelf, unless this is just a drop off. I mean, I had many questions in that episode, and none of it made any sense. And I'm like, and that's why people aren't watching the show. because it's dumb. And that's the thing about it. And we're so starved for that juicy Star Wars goodness. I mean, yeah, okay, it's we're gonna have a firefight with TIE fighters, awesome. But I mean, how far does that go? What is the story? Why am I coming back to watch this show? Because of Grogu? And Grogu just can do anything now?
Right.
Listen, Grogu. I've been trapped by this weird creature in this mining droid. I need you to go to my starship, fly to another planet, bring Bo-Katan back to save me. I'm like, kill that guy. That guy's an idiot. He's not a good hero. Kill him. That's the dumbest shit I've ever heard. Who thought that was good scripting? I'm sorry, I don't mean to be. Now people hate me.
No worries.
Screw that guy.
Rob, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Apparently the stream cannot. I don't know if when my microphone collapsed and stuff. Can we get a check from folks if I'm heard over in the YouTube stream? Are you guys able to hear me now or no? Or maybe you need to ask the question if people can't hear me.
Can everyone hear Roberto Suarez?
Okay.
Can you hear him?
Okay, now we can. All right. So I think when my microphone fell over, the connections got a little wonky. So I apologize. Thank you so much for clarifying that, folks. Yeah, no, I'm with you, Rob. And to me, all of this stuff that they were doing with the doctor and whatnot, building up to whatever it is that they're building up with the cloning. The problem for me is it all leads to what we already know. Snoke and the half-baked Empire 2.0 of the New Order, which again, where's the progress in this story? To me, all of that is it just becomes repetitive. Like, where's the new threat in the Star Wars universe? That's not the same old story of Empire versus Rebel, just with a new coat of paint. It's like it's great that it's intriguing or interesting. Also, by the way, this New Republic is the most incompetent government. You mean to tell me you have all this imperial technology and all you're going to do is trash it? You're not going to repurpose it? You're not going to reuse it?
It's so dumb. Like you saw like the Star Destroyers being dismantled.
Not only dismantled, but they even said everything's getting trashed. Like they're not repurposing it or anything.
The writing is terrible, and I'm a big Jon Favreau fan. I mean, I made Free Enterprise because I love swingers so much, so I'm a huge Jon Favreau fan. But it makes no sense at all.
Yeah, we got a couple of super chats. I just want to make sure that we read through them, Rob. So
I'm surprised anybody's watching this show. People are throwing tomatoes at their screens.
We have 120 folks here, so make sure you hit those likes and subscribes, folks. Jay Bling, $5. Thank you, Jay Bling. Hollywood is an industry where success is dependent on good writing run by people who don't like to read.
You know what? You're 100% right, and that is, and it's gotten worse. I'm surprised at the things that do get made.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a crazy, and by the way, people who are running the studios have never actually made. The funny thing is, you have your Ivy League education, you get hired by a studio, and then when you leave the studio, you get a producing deal where then you get to actually make movies, even though you worked at a movie studio.
Right.
You worked at a film studio deciding what movies get made, but you haven't actually made one. You know what's so funny? Yesterday, somebody said on Twitter, they were talking about Terry Matalas, who's the showrunner on Picard season 3, because he started out as a production associate, a PA on Enterprise. He's credited on the pilot of Enterprise, Broken Bow. Somebody asked me, well, how does somebody who's a PA become a showrunner? I'm like, because being a PA is where everybody should start.
You work your ass off.
Yeah, as somebody, I think every single person in the entertainment business, anyone who wants to work in Hollywood, absolutely should be a PA first, 100%. Not just because I was a PA, but I'll tell you something. I learned more about the movie industry in my first 2 or 3 days on the job working on Leatherface, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3, than I learned probably in all of film school. Yeah. About how things are made. And this idea that there's a reason why people work their way up. You cannot put a price on the kind of education you get working as a production assistant.
Yeah, on the job
You learn
training.
more on the job training, and you also are on a set. You're seeing whether you're working in a production office, whether you're an on-set PA, whether I was the art department production assistant, so I was working for everybody. It was incredible.
Yeah,
Incredible. And it was the hardest job I ever had and the most exhilarating job I ever had. I was working 20-hour days, 6 days a week. Loved every minute of it.
yeah. King Tannic says that he did not get a chance to say that he thinks episode 3 made it clear that Bo-Katan is the antagonist. She will take advantage of the cult and the mythosaur to take Mandalore.
Oh, but I think they all want that, don't they? I mean, the cult. I mean, even though, and also, I'm sorry, but the way that they're this religion walking into water wearing full suits of armor is dumb.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, it's just dumb. I mean, I you can't take off. Like, please, if you showed me a credible way that you can eat, like if you even said you can take your helmet off when no one's around, you know, it's like wearing a hijab or something. When no one's around, you don't sleep in it. You don't. That's stupid. I mean, it's the whole point is you don't let others see you. But no, it's like when you're watching him trying to eat, it's just it loses all credibility because it's just dumb.
I know.
And you got all these Star Wars fans, you know, oh my God, I'm gonna cosplay, but I'm not gonna eat when I go to a convention because I can't. It's just so stupid.
I know. All right, before we just one more super chat quickly here from Maria Espino, $5. Thank you so much. Is it?
By the way, Maria,
Maria?
I owe you I have not written her back. She wrote me a very nice.
She's saying, as CEO of my own video game development company, I'd love to be a part of your video game centered show. Also, is it Bruce or Neil, Rob, for TLOU? Do I know what that is?
That The Last of Us.
The Last of Us. Is
that's
it
a
Bruce
good. That's a good question. No, it's neither one of them because it's more about the actual game design, not the writers in this case.
Okay. All right. So, sorry, I forgot to remove that chat. There we go. Okay, let's jump over. Esmel has been patiently waiting. Let me go ahead and have you unmute, Esmel. You should be able to unmute now, and I'm adding you to the chat. Welcome, Esmel.
Hello.
Sorry, you've had to listen to me.
Doing?
The Cookie Master General is here.
No, it's all right. I don't mind listening to you. Just you were making me a little mad, but it's okay. I can deal with it. I'm used to it. You guys hear me okay?
Yep.
Yeah. I just wanted to say that how did Moth get the dark saber from Bo-Katan in the first place? Because obviously you can see that she's fluent with it, that she really knows how to use it. Because she was chopping the legs off that robot.
And by the way, doesn't that mean she can keep it?
How did he get it from her?
Dude.
That's the whole thing with the Mandalorian. That's what's blowing my mind. Is how did he take it from her? Because he wasn't that good with it when he fought Mando. He wasn't that great with it.
No, and if she can pick it up and she actually fought somebody, doesn't that mean like Mando dropped it? Like she picked it up and fought an opponent. Doesn't that mean she gets to keep it now? Or I mean, if Mando dropped the sword, see, this is my problem with the show. I'm like, why, you know, and by the way, they like, I forgot Mando had the dark saber. It's like, oh, okay, you've got the dark saber. It doesn't seem to be, that's a huge plot point, you know, and what
I get it because he's not used to it. He doesn't know the lore of it. He doesn't really care about it. So I understand why he's not really trying to use it. He's not trying to bring Mandalore all back together. He's not trying to bring all the Mandalorians back together. So to him, it's just something that he has. I don't think he really cares about
it's like, here, take it.
Kind of weird. Yeah, because he was wanting to give it to her, but they're like, no, can't. He's like, why? Because he doesn't understand it. That wasn't what he was brought up on.
No.
So I get that.
And look, I don't understand. Like, does the dark saber know? Like clearly, like is there some creature that lives in the dark saber? Like, okay, you beat me. Somebody beat you in combat, so now they can use me. Well, I mean, is the dark saber alive, or is it just part of the? They
say the kyber crystals are kind of, you know what I mean?
Well, yeah,
they bleed them and stuff like that.
The living force and all that. I just it bothers me. Like, here's the thing. I just want to know. Tell me the story. Tell me what I need to know. Give me the lore, man.
Just a little insight from Maria, who says it was the Darksaber must be won in a single line combat with the wielder. So I guess Bo-Katan has to fight.
But she was wielding it. I mean, she picked it up.
You can't use it.
Yeah, I mean,
but it was like she borrowed it rather than she owns it. She has to fight.
But who knows
Mando
that
for it?
But who knows that? It's like it's so weird. Like that means that is the living force, like looking down and whatever the living force is going. You can't use. I mean, you picked up the Darksaber. You used it and fought an opponent. You fought this weird alien that somehow survived the bombing of Mandalore or whatever, and you used it against him, and you won.
Right.
And you're wielding it. So you just won combat against it's so weird.
Plus, I never got the sense that Jin wants the Darksaber. So the moment she picked it up and fought with that thing, I would have said, like, you just won it in battle. It's yours, or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you literally like what does winning mean?
Yeah.
Like, does somebody know? Like, you had to send Grogu to another planet to get Bo-Katan to come and rescue you. So I would say, like, what does winning mean? And who decides this? I'm like, give Bo-Katan the Darksaber. It's hers.
Right.
You're a schmuck that got captured by a stupid robot and needed her to save you. I'm like, you shouldn't have the Darksaber anyway because you're a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
And that's what I hate about the Mandalorian. I mean, the man with no name, he's not. And that's another thing. John taught me the term. I don't watch wrestling. I didn't understand what a jobber was.
Right.
The Mandalorian is a jobber. He gets jobbed by everyone. He's an idiot. And it's like if you're trying to emulate the man with no name, and I'm sorry to say this, people are like, I don't like Robert Meyer anymore. He doesn't like the Mandalorian. Look, you know what you should be pissed about? That the Mandalorian is not as good as it should be. That Jon Favreau writes those scripts at lunch.
Right.
Come on, man.
Yeah.
Give me somebody I love.
Few more super chats here, Rob. Make sure that we're reading them and thanking our folks here. Electron Star Collabs for $5. Thank you for pushing so hard for us to watch Picard Season 3. I miss looking forward to the next episode of Star Trek.
Right. And by the way, don't let the stars collapse on me. You know, that's Electron Star Collapse, longtime viewer of the channel. Good to hear from you. Look, man, I mean, you know, it's really interesting to watch the people that are enjoying the show for what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's all these people that are now trying to find reasons to not enjoy it, which I find fascinating. Coining a phrase. But yeah, I mean, look, it is a I would call it a rousing yarn in the Terry Metalis. You know, he looked at Hunt for October, he looked at Crimson Tide, and those are the things that inspired him. Just the same way that Balance of Terror was inspired by Run Silent, Run Deep. Why not go to a big nautical, you know, sub thing and be inspired by that? And he was. And all I can tell you is that, look, I love Star Trek Picard Season 3, and I watch these episodes over and over again, and I love doing it.
Yeah.
So.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I think somebody else who is enjoying Star Trek Picard Season 3, from what I've seen on the channel, is Julian. Bushkin. So Julian is here. You should be able to unmute now, Julian.
I am unmuted.
Welcome.
Julian,
Good
first of all,
morning,
thank
everyone.
you. Thank you for, along with doing great after shows of Picard Season 3.
Thank you.
Really, really loving them. And do you like doing them?
Yes. I really enjoyed doing the reaction after the spoiler review. I don't like doing the live watch along when it first comes out because it's killing my sleep. But we'll get over that.
But it's great, and I love seeing you dressed up, cosplaying.
Every once in a while, yeah.
I love it. Is your wife cool with it, or is she like, "What are you doing?"
We cosplay together when we go to conventions.
Well, that's good.
So,
that's not the only time. You know, come on, you know when you cosplay. Only at conventions, sure, buddy.
Yeah. All right. So, speaking of conventions, I was listening to Trek Experts and they were talking to the guy who was talking about the history of conventions, fan conventions, and
Yeah.
Mark asked Ashley and Darren, what their first convention was, and it had me thinking. I was like, what was my first convention that I went to? And it was, I think it was at the Center House at the Seattle Center.
Yeah.
In the mid '80s, Future Fest. Was that? Do you remember?
So it wasn't a convention, but at the Seattle Center, they used to have a group called the One Reel Vaudeville Show that put on, I think it was called, you might be right about this, Sci-Fi Fest. They put on a sci-fi festival every year. That's where I first met Gene Roddenberry, and I met Harlan Ellison there. And it was a convention at the Seattle Center. And then there was another group, the first Star Trek only event. I wouldn't call it a convention, but event I went to. There was a group called the PSST, the Puget Sound Star Trekkers. And they put on, after Star Wars came out, they put on TIE, the Undefinable Event. That's what they called it. And it was at the Seattle Center, but it was behind, the place where they had the Bubbleator. Do you remember that? The giant glass?
Well, the Bubbleator was in the house, the Center House.
Yeah, it was okay. It was behind the Center House, and there were those buildings like by the arena.
Yeah.
And
kind of like the exposition hall.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And that's where, dude, I'm having total weird flashbacks. I mean, I haven't thought about this in 40 years, but that's where like the Undefinable Event was. But the One Reel Vaudeville Show, when they put on whatever that was the first convention I ever went to. And it was really interesting because the second I was it was the greatest thing ever. This speaks to my father who passed away in 2008. My dad knew how much the second one of these events, I was horribly ill. And my father went to that event in my stead for me. And went to the dealer's room and bought me things and bought me this big painting, and which I don't know what happened to this painting. And I used this painting and I made I Super 8 Star Wars movies because it was like a space painting of the sun and a planet and stuff. And my dad actually went to it by himself and bought me some stuff and brought it home to me. I'm getting all chills because that was the kind of guy my dad was. That's why I put him in Free Enterprise. My dad was, my dad was like me. It was like he always had a smile on his face, and he would always kind of stroll into a party and he'd be like, this is pretty great. Didn't matter where he was. It was like, as long as he had a cigar, he'd be like, have some fun.
Well, I think it was like 83 or 84, and they had a bunch of stuff from Blade Runner, and they showed Blade Runner on the screen.
Yes, I was there.
Yes. Yeah.
I was at that. Yes, I was like yes, and it was like at the center. It was at the Center House. Yeah. I was there.
Yeah,
I was
my friend John and I, we decided to kind of dress up. So we had, like Banana Republic had all those shirts with, the shoulder, things.
Totally.
And stuff. So we wore those and a belt. And we wore our moon boots, and I made these badges that were like totally just hand drawn and everything. And my friend John had a laminator, and we made these badges like we were in some sort of Starfleet type of thing. And we rode the monorail up there from the ferry, and I just remember watching that movie because we hadn't seen it since it was in the theater.
By the way, Mikey, that's the funniest shit I've ever seen. Who is Robert Meyer Burnett? Sorry, but I have to say that Seattle had a lot of. Did you ever go to NorwestCon?
Oh yeah, but I didn't go until I didn't start going until the 90s. When I found a bunch of people that we were doing Star Trek stuff together. We went to Creation Con, and then we went to NorwestCon.
I have to tell you, there in 19, I want to say it was either at the end of 1983 or the beginning of 1984.
Mhm.
I was at NorwestCon and I met the publicist for Paramount at the time. His name's Eddie Egan, who I know now, even now to this day. And Eddie Egan, I went up and met him and I was like, oh my God, you work for Paramount, oh my God. And he goes, listen, I'll make sure when they have the all media screening of Star Trek 3, The Search for Spock, that I'll send you a ticket. And I was like, come on, because it was like, that was in June. And he did. He actually did. I got a ticket because the all media screenings that they still have is when the media gets to go, like any people at radio stations and TV stations, everybody that needs to see the movie early. Eddie Egan at that NorwestCon, the 83 or early 84, and I met him there. He sent me, he made sure that Paramount sent me a pass. I couldn't believe it.
That's cool.
And I met him at that convention. I mean, and Seattle, at the time, Seattle had more movie theaters per capita than any city in the United States. And there were tons. And we were a huge movie-going city. And I've often wondered, I mean, no one can ever prove this, but the corollary of Starbucks started in Seattle. Nordstrom, Microsoft, Boeing. There had to have been, and I could never prove this, but there had to have been a correlation between the idea, I say imagination connoisseurs, but Seattle was a city that inspired, maybe it was because of the space, I don't know, the World's Fair in the 60s, but I wasn't alive then, there's something about Seattle that inspired imagination connoisseurs. And growing up there, I worked at the second video store, recognized as the second video store in the United States when I was 13 years old in 1980, Video Space. And yeah, there's something in the water, man. Maybe it was the water they used to make Rainier beer. If you look up that commercial on YouTube, you'll see what I just did there.
All right.
Julian knows.
Thank you
It's
so
the
much,
Wild
Julian.
Rainier.
Thank you so much, Julian. Hey, there's been some folks who are in the chat. Oh, hold on. Let me fix my camera here. Who are wondering how do you raise your hand in the Zoom chat? So let me just quickly demo. I think I should be able to demo it here.
Irene wants me to go on to Hot Ones. I don't know if she's talking about me or all of us.
So
I'd love to do
down
that.
here, folks, if you look at the bottom of the screen, there's a thing that's called reactions. If you click on that, there should be a raise hand option. All right. So of course, you can't see it. It doesn't show up on the live feed, but just click on the reactions button, and you should be able to see there a raise hand option. So hopefully that clarifies things for folks.
By the way, I have to give a shout out to Irene because people have been saying to me for the last 2 weeks that Irene was the MVP of our last member call.
Well,
people loved hearing from her.
She's here again today, so hopefully you'll get a chance to chat with her again. So in the meantime, our moderator extraordinaire, Tom Jr. Jackson, is here. Let me go ahead and
Goof Emeritus.
add him. Welcome,
Or as
Tom.
I like to say, Goof Emeritus. Emeritus, Tom Jr. Jackson.
Hey, Rob.
How are you, man?
I am doing good. How are you doing?
I am doing well. Yes, we are going to do Midnight Musings tonight.
Okay.
People
were
was just,
asking me, is this going on?
yes, tomorrow night. I mean, tonight, not tomorrow night. It was tomorrow night yesterday. Now it's tonight.
Right.
So, yes, I can do an unboxing of, and Let's Get Physical Media comes back tomorrow. I've got lots of stuff here that I did. I thought nothing was coming out, and I realized, started to get discs. I'm like, wow, there's stuff coming out.
Have you seen A Man Called Otto yet?
Yes, I liked it very much.
I liked it. That was a great movie.
I thought it was a great movie. I mean, I didn't get the physical media, but I really liked it. And it's a remake of a Swiss movie?
Yeah, and that is on Prime Video, the original Swiss movie.
Yeah.
I saw the original one first. I saw the original one first, and I really liked it. And I was like, I want to see how this one turns out. And I really, really liked how they did this one. And on YouTube, there is an interview with Tom Hanks and the original guy from the original movie,
Oh, really?
and how I'll have to find it and send it to you. They became friends, and they liked the differences between each other's movies and stuff. It was really nice.
I love that.
Yeah, and I was like, you can't really go wrong with Tom Hanks doing a movie like this.
No, I love Tom Hanks. I'm a huge Tom Hanks fan. As a matter of fact,
Yeah.
I really want to make, there's a movie I really want to make that I want Tom Hanks to star in. And I'll just throw it out there because why not? There is a Canadian actually he's an American that moved to Canada. There's a Canadian, well, I call him Canadian. In my mind, he's Canadian. I think he's American originally, but Robert Charles Wilson. And I think of him as the Stephen King of science fiction, in that he deals with these very heady sci-fi concepts in the everyman sort of way. And he wrote a book I'm kind of obsessed with called The Harvest that came out 91, 92. I have many copies of it right over there. And I have wanted to make this movie for 30 years. And I want Tom Hanks to star in it. And I've often thought, if I could ever get Free Enterprise out and redo it in 4K, recut it and all that, send it to Tom Hanks with this book and be like, bruh, if you say you're going to be in this movie, I could set it up and we can go make it. But I've always wanted Tom Hanks to star in this movie because he loves space. He loves science fiction. And while, he was in Apollo 13, obviously he produced From the Earth to the Moon. He's never, and he did that post-apocalyptic film, but he needs his 2001, man.
Yeah.
That's what he
loves that movie, as far as I know.
I know. And, he collects typewriters. I'm like, I'll put a type, there's the opening of The Harvest would have a typewriter in it. It'd be great. But
yeah,
I'm a huge fan.
I just wanted to say to the people watching today at 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific, on the Burnettwork, there is a Ladies of the PGS live watch party because it's Horror Saturdays with RM and Lorena Creole, and the movie today they're watching is Smile,
which is a really good movie. It's really good.
Yeah, so I just thought that I throw that out there.
Well, and everybody should watch Miss Creole and they kill it. They're like Hope and Crosby.
They do a great job, and RM is doing a great job of the shows and the live watch parties, and I'm there for all of it.
and we love you for it. And no, is killing it.
I have a confession to make. So about
wait before you confess, this is not going to make us liable legally.
No,
right?
no.
Okay.
Not last Friday, but the Friday before, I went for blood work, and I was sitting there waiting to go in, and my stomach just turned, and I got a stomach bug. And that day, I came home, and I should have been sleeping. I was up for your spoiler stream. I was up for RM's Hogwarts stream. I was up for the midnight. Now it's up for the spoiler Friday. I mean the Picard spoiler, and then I was up for the whole midnight musings.
Well,
and then I went to bed. And let me tell you this. I felt better the next day. I was about 75% better the next day. But it was just like I would sit there and I would watch the stream and I'd watch the chat. And then I'd shut my eyes a little bit and then I'd open up and I'd check back the chat, make sure nothing crazy was going on. And it was fine, and I had a good time and I would just listen. And then I had a hallucination that you were in my room looking at something on my wall.
That wasn't a hallucination. I was
But
actually there.
Well, I'm doing good now.
I remote viewed you, man. I was there, dude. I was remote viewing you. I wanted to make sure you were okay.
I can't wait for the I can't wait for Columbo live streams. Not live streams, the Blu-rays.
Dude, I can you believe it? Can you believe we're getting Columbo? I mean, I got the Wise Guys set. I'm getting Columbo. I mean, come on, we're killing it. We're getting
It's great.
It is great. And I got my 4K of Wings of Desire. Now Criterion's putting out, so I don't have to wait for them to send me a replacement disc for the subtitling. It's great.
And you know, earlier in the stream, Taylor was in the chat. He was in there for a little bit. I said, you should join the channel and then come join us on the live streams. But he and I want to set something up where we hang out on Zoom and maybe get you to come hang out with us.
Oh yeah. I mean, I want to bring Taylor to the channel. We talked about, here's what I want to do with Taylor. And I'll say this is what I want to do, you know, adding more shows. I want to do a horror commentary show where I make Taylor watch classic horror films. Not like, I mean, from the entire history of horror, and get his commentary and listen to him. And we're going to talk about, so I'll be like, okay, watch Nicholas Roeg's Don't Look Now, you know, or watch Dario Argento's Deep Red or whatever. And I make him watch these movies. It's almost like reaction videos, but then we'll do deep dives. Taylor's great. And by the way, what's interesting about Taylor is Taylor has degrees in journalism writing. He's a great writer. And when he was going to Pasadena City College, he has no interest in sports, but he had to, in order to get a degree, you have to cover different things. So you had to cover a sporting event and write about it. And the article that he wrote, he went to a baseball game and he wrote a story about I went to this baseball game, and for these 3 hours, here's all the things I would rather be doing than watch this baseball game. And apparently the coach of, and it was published in the paper, and the coach of the baseball team sought him out and said, I love this article that you wrote. I mean, Taylor is an incredibly talented guy. I mean, he's always smiling, he's funny and all that, but he's really witty and he's a terrific writer. And I would love to exploit him on this channel. So let's put him to work. And but bring his acumen and his abilities to the channel, because he is a singular talent and a very funny man. And I love that guy. So
I'm loving his channel and the content he's producing there. It's been really, really fun to see him and his partner, and like going to Nintendo Land has been a great, a fun series of videos that he's been putting together.
Well, you know what's funny? What he does too is he's what's called a seat warmer. So whenever there's a premiere in town, they need people to fill out the seats that are empty. So he's on that list. So him and David are going. He goes to every premiere.
He might run into my daughter because she does the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to every premiere. Well, yeah, and I mean, I want him to make videos of all of these premieres that he goes to for this channel.
Yeah,
because that would be awesome.
Hey, Rob, we are coming up on our hour and a half, so I think what I'm going to do now, this might be a good moment to pause so that we can finish the YouTube stream. That doesn't impact anybody on the Zoom call. It's just the YouTube stream. We're going to be cutting it off here so that, remember, if you're watching us on YouTube and you'd like to be a part of the action, you can become a member of the channel, and that will give you access to our Zoom links every couple of weeks so that you can join us here. With this, we give you a little taste, right, Rob?
That's right. And Roberto, I want to thank you. You always host these streams, but please tell the folks at home, tell us about Que Pasa PGS.
Que Pasa PGS is the Burnettwork's all Spanish, or we should say 97% in Spanish show.
Yeah, until the part you make fun of me.
The 3% is when Rob joins us. So, but it is a show for geeks who like to have their geek news or geek commentary in Espanol. So you're welcome to join us every other weekend. So on Saturdays, we're either doing the live streams at 11 a.m. or we're doing Que Pasa PGS. So you can join us there. And after the fact, once the shows have been recorded and are posted, you can auto translate them. And we've set up we have a PSA at the beginning of the video to show you how to do that, so you can watch it with automatic subtitles. They're not the best, but they're good enough to get the gist of what we're talking about.
Yeah, and what's cool is you're Puerto Rican and Alex Montano, or I like to say Montano, even though it's probably not right, but Alex is in Colombia.
He's Mexican living in Colombia. That's right. And
With
I'm
his
Puerto
hot
Rican
Colombian wife
living in the US. So we're both in the Spanish speaking diaspora, as they say.
And the thing about Alex is he's a hot toy collector, and you can see his Star Wars hot toys. He's always adding.
And last show he showed his Batman Returns hot toy, the Keaton from Batman Returns, which is my all-time favorite Batman outfit. I was coveting that thing. So, all right. So we are going to go ahead and take a little bit of a break just while I end the YouTube stream here. So hold on. Those of you who are in the Zoom call, you will be up next. But in the meantime, let me just go ahead and finish things off, and we'll say goodbye to our friends on YouTube.